I was lying down crying, and I literally almost said to God, just let me die. It was that was what helped me, and it took it away. Because if I hadn't gotten that, I don't know where I'll be today. I don't know if I would have just died. I don't know honestly, because I don't know how I'd have survived. Because there were days I couldn't sit. Like, we'll be going for a hospital appointment and I have to sit in the car, and it's like I'm sitting on one butt cheek because I can't sit. You get to the hospital and I'm not even sitting, I'm standing. The brightness of this day has given me the opportunity to bring you this video. Welcome back to my channel, Winging It with Issy. My name is Issy. So I'm here to finally tell you about my experience with suffering, my experience with hell, my experience with hemorrhoids, also known as piles, also known as cocoa, my trip to hell and back. Honestly, I'm not even exaggerating. So this video is going to somewhat be a long video, and we have our chairman here who is hey must start the video no Maria. Okay. So like I said, this video is going to be somewhat of a long video, and I am going to start by giving a brief history about my experience with hemorrhoids. My very first encounter with hemorrhoids was with my first pregnancy, when I was pregnant with Serum, and they developed around the latter part of my second trimester into my third trimester. I had no idea what they were. When I told my doctor, he was like, oh, it's hemorrhoids. So he gave me medication, suppositories, which is anusol for it. And in hindsight, after everything I say, you realize that in hindsight, I should have read about it back then to know the right things to do to relieve it. But my doctor also didn't give me any information, like just, oh, they're hemorrhoids, so take these suppositories. So anyway, I took the suppositories. So let's say, even if I don't remember them being painful at the time before I gave birth, but I remember that when I delivered, they were painful. So it was painful to poop. Now, Serum pronounces bottles as totosh. Hey mama, your totosh. Anytime I say totosh, I'm referring to your butt, or yeah, that's because this is what we are talking about. We're talking about hemorrhoids, so we cannot talk about hemorrhoids without talking about the butt. So your totosh, okay, terms of reference. Now, when I gave birth to Serum and they got worse, it was painful to poop. Like, it was painful to poop. But let's say that back then the pain was like, let's like 4/10. Okay, and then I used the anusol religiously, and by the time, let's say, he turned about 2 months, I kind of stopped using it. They were still there, but they stopped. So I had the internal hemorrhoids where they prolapse. So when you go and shank, they come out, but you can gently push them back in. So basically, when it got better, they wouldn't come out anymore. It's like they are there, but they don't come out anymore. So they had shrunk, and they weren't painful or anything. It's like harmless. So I just forgot about them till we got pregnant with this human being over here. Second trimester. So when I got pregnant with him, I was very conscious of it. I was like, oh, let me making sure I eat a lot of fruit so that I'm not constipated. So I will get to I've written down some notes here, and there are things that cause it to be worse, and constipation is one of them. So you need to make sure that you are not constipated. Okay, so when I got pregnant with Cuckoo, they came back. They started getting bad in like my third trimester. So that's when I realized that there is pain and there is pain. Okay, so I told my doctor about it. He gave me anusol, but it's like it wasn't getting better. And then I think a few days before I delivered, so I delivered on a Wednesday, let's say literally like a week before, then I started feeling pain, but the pain got bad on Sunday, Monday, and finally I told the doctor, and then he had us buy paracetamol suppositories to numb the place before I was okay. Because this time around, when I go and shank and I push it back in, a little bit of it will come out, and it's so painful, so I couldn't sit. So I remember Monday, Tuesday, I was literally in bed. Like I was in bed the whole day. Like I was just in pain and I was in bed. So when I went to the hospital and I delivered, they got bad, but I was praying that they wouldn't get bad. But nothing prepared me for the level of pain that I went through. Anytime I spoke to some of my friends about it, I'll say that my postpartum period was fine. The only thing that was horrible about it was the pain from the hemorrhoids. Like, it was horrible. The first 4 weeks after delivery was hell. I'm not even joking. I'm not lying. I'm not exaggerating. The pain went from like 6/10 to 20/10. Like, it was that bad. Okay, so like when I go, and let me just give you a bit of what I went through. So I came home a few days after after I delivered, and then there were days that I spent my day in bed and I'll be in tears, because it's like I used to dread going to the bathroom to shank. It was that bad. Like, if I felt the urge to go and poop, I would take minutes to ask myself, do you really need to poop? Do you really, like, until I realized, oh, okay, like, I really do need to poop. And then I would go in, I would sit there and I would cry, I would cringe in pain. Sometimes I would tell Richie to come and I would hold on to his hand. And in hindsight, I think that because I had the surgery and I was given suppositories to manage the pain, all those suppositories going into were also I feel like they were bruising the hemorrhoids that are already inflamed. So they were quite inflamed. When I go and poop, I would see blood, and usually the blood is harmless. It's just that time, it's not like you continue bleeding after that when you have finished pooping. And pushing them back in, oh god, I could take 10 minutes, because touching it was so painful. There are days I'll just lie in bed and just cry. And the worst thing is if you push them back, finally push them back in, and it comes out, maybe like a little bit of it will come out, so it's literally stuck, like it has opened the tortoise hole, okay, and it's just stuck there. I can't walk, oh god, like anyway. So that's just a bit about that. And I remember in my postpartum video I talked about the fact that there was a night I literally wanted to die. That day was the worst. So I pooped, and I'm walking, and it's like there was a day like my butt was just on fire unless I lie down. Once I get up and I start, if I'm on my feet for more than 5 minutes, that's it. I'm in pain. My tortoise is on fire. So I was quite miserable for 4 weeks. And one night, I remember it was a Saturday night, and it was 2.5 weeks after I had delivered, and I pooped. I think I needed to poop in the afternoon. I did, and then like an hour later I needed to poop again. And when it happens like that, you are finished. Like, you poop just now and you need to poop again, you are finished. So when the pain, and oh god, I literally went to lie down. And sometimes when I put in the para suppository, it's like it makes things worse before it gets better, because everything is inflamed and bruised, according to me. And then you're also pushing something like the medicine that is a bit, like, if I say, hard in there. I was lying down crying, and I literally almost said to God, just let me die. It was that bad. And I was facing this boy's cot, and he was asleep in the cot. I was just staring at him, and I was like, I can't die. but I can't bear this. So like, God, you just need to make this thing better. So I will tell you what I eventually took that took away that horrific pain. And even though I still have them right now, they've not been painful since. So I have been living like a normal human being since. What are some of the things that I did? So basically, I want to talk about the things that I did that would help, and while like during the healing process, and things that you should aim for if you know you have hemorrhoids and you want them to go and you want to reduce the pain. Number one, which is very, 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 very super important, is eat a lot of fiber rich foods. Drink a lot of water. So fiber rich foods like oats, and then fruits, pawpaw, mango, banana. So I literally had a what's the word? It's a regimen, I think. So in the morning when I eat breakfast, I would eat oats, and then I would add banana to the oats. I would eat pawpaw. Actually, I was eating the pawpaw before I eat breakfast. So when I wake up and I finish feeding him while he's bathing, I go and eat pawpaw. And then I eat oats for breakfast with some banana. During the day, I would pop some bananas in my mouth. I would chew a few granules here and there. And then in the evening, I would eat mango, a full mango. But that mango, I was usually eating it like around like 10 p.m. So I have dinner around 7:30. 10 p.m. 11 p.m. usually around that time is when I'll go and eat some mango, like those big saloon mangoes. I'll eat the full thing, and I was eating the skin as well because the skin gives you a lot of fiber. During the day, after breakfast, after I've eaten the pawpaw and the oats, I would either drink like 4 oranges and make sure that I chew the not the skin, the pulp, make sure that I get as much of the pulp in, like 4 oranges, eat some bananas. Like I was trying to get in as much fiber as possible, and I was drinking a lot of water. And then around 10 p.m. when I eat the mango with the skin, then around 4 a.m. when I'm done breastfeeding him, I chew an apple. So that is basically what I was doing to ensure that I have super soft, like you want it to be super soft, not that you have diarrhea, but like super soft. Okay, no constipation is allowed, and drink a lot of water. Number 2, I stopped eating bread. So it's been a long time since I ate bread, but I stopped eating bread. I stopped, even if I eat bread, I would eat like 1 slice, and it will be brown bread, not white bread. So I haven't eaten white bread in a long time, and I'm still scared to eat it out like. And then I was drinking very little milk. Give me some. Because I read online that milk, lactose doesn't help. So if you can hear anything, it's raining, so I guess I also have to raise my voice. But I reduce my intake of milk. So if I'm having milk, it's evaporated milk, maybe like 2 or 3 teaspoons into my Milo or into my oats. And then I have a friend, a doctor friend who experienced it, and she also gave me some tips that also really helped. So when you are pooping, you want to elevate your feet. So if you have a small stool, my stool is not here, have a small stool that you put your feet on it so that you elevate your knees slightly above your hips. That is the natural way of pooping. That is also something you should do. And then use wet wipes instead of toilet paper. So I have not used toilet paper in a long time, in months. So I use wet wipes. So when you're wiping, use wet wipes because they are softer and they are more gentle than like dry toilet paper. And then this is something I wish I even knew, like when I experienced it first after giving birth to Sarah. Lubricate your totosh. Lubricate the totosh hole before and after you poop. So I know a friend who said she uses shea butter. I was using Pylex, which is an ointment for piles, for hemorrhoids, that helps shrink it. So before, and that one, on that medication, the instruction is to apply before you shank, and then after you shank. So make sure that your bottle is not dry. Let it be well lubricated so that it's not painful when the poop is also coming out and the hemorrhoids are coming out along with it, or it's less painful depending on the level of pain you have gotten to with yours. Use hemorrhoid suppositories or creams prescribed by doctor, and pain suppositories. So sometimes when the pain becomes really bad, it's wise to get like paracetamol suppositories, but it's always best to consult a doctor before. So that's what I was using initially. So these first he prescribed Anusol, and when I felt like they weren't working, then he prescribed, is it Shriprox or Sherryprox? I never know how to pronounce it. And then he prescribed the Pilex. The Pilex one is a herbal. He said it has like it's like a herbal base, so it takes a little longer to work because it's natural, unlike the Anusol and the Shriprox or Sherryprox. Okay. So another thing I was using to relieve some of the pain from the itching. Well, I wasn't itching, but just like the burning pain, like usually after you poop, like the burning pain. Oh God, is this witch hazel pads. A friend of mine gave them to me. This one is the Tax brand, and they are medicated cooling pads, hemorrhoidal pads with witch hazel. So I put them, I actually used to take a few of them out and I'll put them in the freezer to freeze up, and then I'll place it in my totosh, not inside, or like just like where the hole is, just to help relieve with the burning sensation. And there was also this spray. I can't find it. I'll see if I can find a picture of it. There's this spray that I was also using as well to help with cooling, and that helped. But I felt like I needed something more. I needed these hemorrhoids to shrink quickly. And then another advice I got was to use a sit bath and pour some antiseptic in it and then sit over it. So a lot of people swear by the sit bath. I did it a few times and I felt like it was rather making it worse. I don't know if I made the water too hot or something, but I just did the sit bath a few times and I was like, I don't think the sit bath will work for my where I have reached with the pain of this one. I don't know. But now let me tell you what I used that helped. So my dear friend Abena Watsema, you've seen her on this channel, you've seen her on her channel name is I don't want to say real name is Abena's World. I'll leave a link to her channel in my description box. Her mom is herbal remedy expert. So I was calling her and crying about this issue. I finished talking about the mango. You come and show them the mango. This was supposed to come when I talked about the fruits. He's now coming to do it. Show and tell. So what was I saying? Yes. So I cried, and she was like, there's a herbal remedy that she can give me if I'm willing to try herbs. And I was like, I don't mind, because me, I believe in those things. So please bring it. And at this point in time, we are trying anything, just bring it, okay? So she brought it to me. So she keeps telling me she'll get back to me on which tree it's from. I don't know. But it's basically like the bark of a tree. And then you cut up into pieces and then you boil it in water. So you boil them in water, and then you boil it and drink it morning, evening, morning, evening, morning, evening. Boil it in the morning, drink a cup. In the evening, boil it, drink a cup. Following day, morning, drink a cup. And boil. So you have to drink it warm. And then when the water is finished, replenish it with more, boil and drink. So I started drinking that Saturday evening. I wanted instant results, but the instant results were not coming. And I remember on Wednesday, I called her and I was crying. I was like, now would this thing be better? Will it get better? She was like, I should keep taking it. So she even had me speak with her mom, and her mom was like, just keep taking it, just keep taking it. And by the next day, which was day 6, oh no, day 5, I noticed a difference. I noticed that they had shrunk, and like it's as if usually like 3 would come out whenever I put, but now it's as if they were 5. But it's like it's as if they were more in there, but now that they had shrunk, they were getting space to come out. And by the next day, which was day 6, am I counting wrong? So basically the Friday, I started on Saturday, Friday, they shrank even further and the pain stopped. And since then, I have not gone back to that level of pain. Like the pain stopped. I was like, wow. So I kept drinking it, and then she was like, after about a week and a half, when it's as if the strength of the medication has gone down, add Percocet to it, which is Aiden fruits. I don't know, I think that's how it's called in English. And then boil and drink morning, evening, morning, evening, morning, evening. That is what helped me. So when that one was done, they were still there, but like the pain, they are, and I actually still have them, but they are no longer painful. I'm just hoping that they will shrink and then be gone. But I have stopped being in pain. And I remember there was one time a few weeks later, one of my pastors called me that there was somebody who nearly passed out from the pain of hemorrhoids the day before, and that he would want for the person to try the herbal remedy I talked about. So I was like, sure. And so we bought it and we gave it to the person, and also a week later the pain was much better for the person, you know. So yeah, that was what helped me, and it took it away. Because if I hadn't gotten that, I don't know where I'll be today. I don't know if I would have just died. I don't know honestly, because I don't know how I'd have survived. Because there were days I couldn't sit. Like, we'll be going for a hospital appointment and I have to sit in the car, and it's like I'm sitting on one butt cheek because I can't sit. You get to the hospital and I'm not even sitting, I'm standing. Like, honestly, this thing is terrible. So I really hope that this helps somebody. But also, another thing that could cause hemorrhoids to get worse, or for you to actually develop them, apart from constipation and even diarrhea, is sitting on the toilet for too long. So those of you who have been going, we are all culprits. Now I've stopped doing that. I do not go to the toilet with my phone. Don't go to the toilet with your phone, because when you're done, you're just there. You are there. And honestly, this time around with this second pregnancy, I feel like that's what made it worse, because I had all of my pregnancy videos that I was trying to create the thumbnails for, and so then I would be sitting, I would use my time on the toilet to create one thumbnail, and then I'm done shanking, but I'm still sitting there. I feel like that definitely contributed in making them worse. And I saw a post on Instagram some time back where a doctor was advising that don't go to the toilet with your phone, because it can cause you to develop them. People are laughing about it. And that's why I am right now watching this. That's why I am right now reading this. Oh, nothing will happen. Until you'll be wishing for death for this thing to stop. Then you take advice. So please take the advice. Just go and do what you have to do and exit. Your phone will be waiting for you. Case that. If not, finish and close the lid and sit on it. And that one. You know? So I hope that this video has been helpful. Just remember, the goal is super soft. And do not strain. When you sit on the toilet, it will just descend on its own. Don't strain, because it makes it worse. So I'm glad I'm much better now. And if there's anybody who's watching this who is going through it, I feel your pain. I understand your pain, and I pray it gets better for you. If you are looking for where to find some of the medication, the herbal remedies to buy, that's for those in Ghana. When you go to the market and you look for those who are selling herbal medication, just ask for the one that is used to treat cocoa. But when Richie went, apparently there are different types. So the one that has what's that thing called? Like, the Ghanaian word is amamine, which is phlegm, I think. So like when you break the stick, when you break it, it's like there's a string, like a stringy. I don't know how to explain, but something like that. Just when you go, just say yeah, amamine won't be. But yeah, that's basically it. There's one that brought it as for external hemorrhoids, but I didn't have external hemorrhoids. So it's like a little stone, and then you grind it into powder, and then you mix it with a little water and be applying it there. Even though I didn't have external ones, I was still just applying it there anyways. And so yeah, I apologize for this video being very long, but it was very necessary, very necessary, very necessary. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.